the today's lab is to create the VMFS data store and NFS data store. Like I said, I'm going to give you the PDF documents, and I'm also going to give you the recorded session here, so that referring to them you certainly can go ahead and create it. So when it comes to creating a data store in VMware, our scope is very limited. Okay, all we have to do is you probably get into the graphical user interface and just create an NFS data store or a VMFS data store, which is like 3 to 4 steps of job. But making those data stores available is a job of a storage administrator in a company. Okay, every company will have the storage administrators or SAN or NAS administrators. So it is their responsibility to provide you the required amount of storage. So once they give you the storage, and if they say, so the storage is available for your usage, you probably can go there and connect to it. That's when you make a VMFS data store, or you make a NFS data store out of the space that was provisioned to you. In our example, we do not have a storage admin here, so we also have to take care of the storage provisioning. Okay, so for which there is a tool called OpenFiler. So our role is to create data store. So when you create a data store, that will allow virtual machines to store some data in there. It is like your D drive. When you have a D drive, you can store some data in there. If you have more space, you can store more data. If you have less space, you can store only less data. So the data store is, like I said, is a container which can store the information. So this data store can be NAS data store or SAN data store. Okay, so in real time, provisioning storage is job of SAN or NAS admins. Okay, since in our lab environment we do not have the NAS or SAN administrators, we are going to provision storage. So as we have to provision the storage, the other day, what did I say? You have the rack that has got full of hard disks, right? Full of hard disks. On top of it, you got some operating system that will handle your read requests or write requests, whatever it is. So we need that operating system, because we cannot buy the costly storage system. We need some open source application which will allow us to do it. So well, we are going to use OpenFiler. OpenFiler is a name of the operating system. It is a free of cost operating system. It is available for free of cost on the internet. All you have to do is go to openfiler.com. See, openfiler.com. OpenFiler is an open source operating system, meaning it is free of cost operating system. You just can go here, click here, download OpenFiler, and you see there is a downloadable file. You just can click over here. A copy of download. I do not have to do anything. It just starts in few minutes or few seconds. You see, it is asking me to store this file. So since I already have the file, I do not want to download it again. So I'm just canceling it for now, but here is where you can go and you can download the file. So I'm putting that on the chart window to everyone. Okay, that is exactly where you can download it. Once you download it, So once you download it, like I said, it is an operating system. Operating system need a machine to get installed. So we are going to create a virtual machine or a virtual server on our workstation and install OpenFiler in there. So configuration would be one CPU, maybe 2 GB RAM, 2 GB RAM, one NIC card, and you probably can give 20 GB hard disk for OS and maybe 100 GB for uh, block LAN, 100 GB for NAS or NFS, right? So this is what the configuration that you're going to do. So you're creating a virtual machine here. On top of the virtual machine, you're going to install the OpenFiler, and that server will be configured with one CPU, 2 GB RAM, one network interface card, 20 GB hard disk. On 20 GB hard disk, you will have your operating system installed, and you will have one more hard disk that is for your block level storage, wherein you can configure your VMFS file system, and you will have another 100 GB hard disk for your NFS data store. So here you are going to create VMFS data store, here you are going to create NFS data store. Guys, remember, these two steps you do not have to do. It is, I mean, if it is a real-time environment, if it is an enterprise environment, there is a dedicated team who will handle it, and definitely OpenFiler is not the software that companies will be using. It is altogether a different operating system, different way. But in our labs, even to get that kind of real-time feeling, okay, look and feel of it, we are finding a solution which will give us the block storage and the NFS storage, so that we can create both NFS and VMFS data store, and we can continue with our labs further. Okay, so you download this OpenFiler, you create a machine with this configuration, and you will install it. Once you install it, you configure iSCSI LAN. Don't confuse with iSCSI LAN. It is considered just like SAN. Okay, SAN, iSCSI LAN, and NFS volume. Okay, so you have to configure iSCSI and NFS volume. So all these steps are clearly mentioned in the document that I'm going to share with you. It is a PDF document. Don't worry about it. And then once you configure, you have to go to this ESXi server, and configure NFS and VMFS data stores. So this is the exercise that we are going to do. This is the exercise that we are going to do. Let's take one step at a time. Now that we've accessed the ESX server uh, with vSphere client, the first duty of ours is to create another virtual machine. Okay, because we already have the OpenFiler operating system downloaded. So I have my operating system here at software repository, storage appliances, OpenFiler, and this is the one. You can also download one from the internet, or it is available in the Google Drive that I share with you with the name called OpenFiler. You can see that. Say next. This is one of the Linux distribution, but it can be any one. Say next. What is the name that you wanted to call here? I say SAN, let's say, and I wanted to put it in the drive that we have. Computer, data, workstation, Amvotech, and SAN. Okay, so next, like I said, for operating system it's going to take 20 GB on which the operating system will get installed. That's fine, and I'm just going to put it into the folder that I have for Amvotech. And you see the configuration here, it is like deviating from our original requirement. So I say edit settings. It's like 2 GB RAM is what we thought, 1 CPU is good, From the NAT, we are putting all our networking onto host only, and the CD you already mounted it. Say OK. So we are installing the operating system now. I'm just powering it on. You just ignore it. So this is a standard menu that you get for the Linux installation. Okay, for any Linux distribution of installation. You do not have to do anything here. You see, to install or upgrade in a graphical mode, press enter. So I'm pressing enter over here. So that is all I do probably. You see, it's a welcome screen for the wizard. So it is asking you to click on next. So I say next. Choose the keyboard. Fine. As you see, the partition table on the device was unreadable. To create a new partition, it must be initialized. So you are initializing the disk. So you must have to say yes here. Yes. You just say, I mean, I'm not selecting anything custom here. I'm just going ahead with the defaults. I say next. It is going to format your disk. That is fine. It has got the DHCP IP address, which is a dynamic IP. I'm okay with that. The time, that's fine. Next. So here is where I need to set up the password for the root user, which we will not use. Say next. Say next. That's all. So if you see throughout the wizard, I did not choose any custom setup as such. I have been choosing the defaults, default options that were coming in the wizard. Once the installation is complete, probably we can change the IP address from dynamic to static. So this graphical user interface, I mean, this interface is not so friendly. That's the reason I did not made an attempt to configure the IP address here. Otherwise, you can configure a static IP in the wizard, or you can also configure post installation. I'll show you how do you do that. Now you are installing the OpenFiler operating system. So once you install the OpenFiler, you have to create two LUNs that are of, one is for iSCSI, the other is for NFS. Guys, I mean, those who are confusing, I'm repeating it again, that the SAN, that is OpenFiler installation, is not for you in real time. You will not be working on it. But for me to demonstrate how to create a NFS data store and how to create a VMFS data store, I would definitely need, a source to create it. So that is why I'm just doing it, this exercise. Don't confuse. Otherwise, creating a NFS data store is a three-step process. Creating VMFS is like 4-5 steps process. It's straightforward. But you still can give it a try in your lab environment by creating a virtual machine. You can keep the virtual machine as small as 1 CPU, 1 GB RAM. Even it works on 512 MB RAM. Okay, it can be anything. If you do not have 2 GB of RAM, you certainly can go for 1 GB RAM, not a problem. It would not take much of a time to install the operating system. You see, the installation has been complete. It is asking for the reboot. Fine. So the machine is ready for the use. If I go here, open up the command prompt, if you see, I'm able to reach the machine. And we never log into the direct console here, but we will log into the graphical user interface. How do we do that? It says for web administration GUI, put HTTPS, the IP address, colon 446, the port number. Okay, I'm just opening up the browser here. Okay, so this is a common SSL certificate warning. You just can go to advanced and you say proceed to the unsafe site. That is fine. Now it will redirect to the the open file or administration screen. If you see the screen here, the username and password is not root and the password that you give. It is OPENFILER and the password is just the password. Okay, so where do you see that information? If you go to the PDF document that I'm going to share with you, you can see here it's like screenshots were given for every single step that you're going to do here. So you see a similar screen over there. From there you can see the default username is OpenFiler and the default password is the password. So that is hard coded into the operating system. Got it? So and every single step that we do from here is also configured there. So first we need to go to the services, make sure that the iSCSI target is enabled and the service is started. Make sure that your NFS server service is started, enabled and started. That's all. Like I said, you need to create some 100 GB of disk. Okay, you need to create some 100 GB of block LAN, 100 GB of NAS. So the first and foremost what you need two hard disks, each is capacity of 100 GB. Okay, say add. Okay, you need a hard disk. So next, that is a SCSI, the default settings. Say fine. You are creating a new hard disk. Fine. The size of a hard disk, let's say 100 GB. Now it will go get stored in the same place of your mission location. Well, you don't think that, you probably be thinking, what if I do not have 100 GB free space on my laptop? Don't you worry about your 100 GB of free space, because though you mention 100 or 200, whatever it is not going to commit on your hard disk. It will only use whatever you actually use. Okay, whatever the data that you actually going to store there. So this is your 100 GB. I'm going to create one more 100 GB of disk, which will be used for the NAS configuration. Fine. So of this 200 GB, if I go to the disk, D drive, workstation, Avotech, you can see here SAN. If I do properties here, it is just occupying 3.34 GB because just the operating system. Okay, the other VMDK file that we have created, the other hard disk file that we have created, the 100 GB hard disk or 200 GB hard disks, that will not take any space until you store some data into 100 GB. Getting me? Fine. Enough. I need to come here to the system. At this point of time, the IP address is dynamic. Okay, you probably can configure the server name, that is SAN. Let's say update it. Now the server has become SAN, and you can also go to the network interface card. Here you can say configure. You see the ping is continuously going on. From a DHCP to static you can change, say continue. So you can give any IP address that you wanted to. Let's say 50 is the IP address that I wanted to give, and rest all the same. You just say confirm. The moment you confirm, you see there will be no response from here. Okay, because you have changed the IP from 161 to 50. Okay, so even if you try to click anything out here, you will not get any response as such because the IP address has got changed. So what I am doing here is 50 and just changing the IP. Now we got there. Instead of 161, if I change it to 50, it will work, you see. And I am doing OpenFiler password. We got there. Okay, now you set up the host name, you set up the static IP as well. Then we are going to the volumes here, where exactly we'll be creating the NFS and the VMFS, NFS and iSCSI LUNs. Guys, like I said, whatever I'm doing in this system, you try to practice it referring to the PDF that I'm going to give you and looking at the video. But if you don't understand what exactly it means, just forget about it, because this is not a piece of work that you do in a real-time environment. There is a dedicated team called SAN team or NAS team. They will handle it. Say add volume here. And all these steps are very much clearly mentioned in your document, the PDF document that I'm going to share.
For security purpose, we change the IP address.
Musa, your voice is so. I mean, it's very low. I cannot hear you.
Okay. Why do we change the IP address? Is that for security purpose or we just for this demonstration?
Well,
Can you hear me?
all your servers need to have the static IP, not the dynamic IP. Okay, so all your servers must have the static IP. Earlier it was the dynamic IP, so I've changed the dynamic IP to static IP. So basically there are two type of IPs in any environment: static IP, dynamic IP. Dynamic IP is like if I do a restart of this machine again, that 161 would have been something else, and tomorrow if I do a restart again, and that would become something else. So there is no guarantee that you'll get the same IP address again and again whenever you do a restart or after a lease period expires. So it is a best practice that you always give a static IP, IP that never changes, to the servers. The same
Okay.
thing you could have done it during the installation of the server, but that the graphical user interface is not so user friendly. So that's reason once the operating system installation has been complete, I wanted to do that change over here so that this interface is very friendly, so that I can just do the changes seamlessly. You got it?
Yes, thank you.
Yep. So I'm just creating them as a physical volumes here. So I've got one more 100 GB. That is also going to be a physical volume if you see. Okay, now I've created two physical volumes at operating system level. From there, it is asking us to create a volume group. So I am creating two volume groups. One is for SAN, 100 GB will go get add there. And I'm creating one more here, that's called NAS. Go get add to it. So we got two volume groups, one is for NAS, the other is for SAN. Now it's a time for us to create the file system. Volume 1, volume 1. So this is the description, and how much space you wanted to create as a volume. It is 97 GB that is available now, but you can just say 10 GB is volume 1, another 20 GB is volume 2. So it is of your choice, and it can be of any file system. I mean, it is a NFS, so I'm just going ahead with XFS file system, and I'm going to share here. This is a volume, let's say volume 1, create, and this volume 1 is going to make as a share. Okay, now I'm just giving public access on this share, so everybody can access it. That's what the public access means. Now so 192.168.1.50 is the server IP, the NAS server IP, and this is the volume path. Okay, so with that you should be able to access it. Now normal requirement is that if you need 100 GB of NAS storage, what you will do is you will put a request to the storage team saying, hey, we need 100 GB. Once that has been provisioned, the storage team will get back to you with this information, the NAS server name and the volume path. So and then this is what you need to remember. You click on the ESX server here, you go to configuration tab over there, you go to storage here, and then you say add storage here. Once you click on add storage, there are two categories. One is a disk or a LUN, which is a SAN LUN. The other is a network file system, which is the one that we have created. Say next. Here you need to mention the server IP. That is your SAN, NAS server, wherever you have the NAS operating system running. And here is where the path that you need to give that you got from the storage system. So you got the path. And this is a label that you can give anything. So I say vol 01 or NAS vol 01, NAS volume 01. Volume 01. Say next and finish. So mount request was denied by the NAS server. Well, we go for the controlled access, update, scroll down. Ideally it should have been a different file system. Let me give one more try. Fine. So, I mean, when I share this recording, be aware that you have to ignore this particular step. What I'm doing here is, I am going to delete this particular volume here and recreate it. Okay. Because we choose a wrong file system, that is of XFS. You need to go for okay. So network access configuration is something that you need to give ESX host or ESX network 192.168.1.0. We are allowing the whole subnet. Let me try one last time and see what error it throws. So request was denied by NACS server is what the error that comes. Right. So if you see for NAS, it is no access. I'm just putting the read write access. Say update. Okay. Say add networking site. Yeah, this time it did work. So this label can be anything and you can change it any time, but you cannot change the path. Okay. So if you see here, now we have got two hard disks. One is a local hard disk that is of 32 GB, whatever is left after the ESX installation. The other is the 100 GB capacity, which is a NAS storage. Now if you wanted to store any kind of information, I mean any virtual machine or virtual machine hard disk, that's you can choose to put that on any of these two virtual storage devices, that is your local VMFS data store or your NFS data store. So what change did I do is, the only change that I've done was I have allowed the ESX server subnet, that is ESX label can be anything. So the ESX server network, the subnet mask of it, the entire subnet I have allowed. Okay. So and then I go to volumes at the share level. I just said NFS read write. It was no access. From there I changed it to read write. That's all I've done, and we have got an NFS data store there. And from there we need to configure VMFS data store. VMFS data store. It is clear, guys. Whenever you put a request to the storage team that you need an NFS data store of 100 GB, 200 GB, whatever it is, they will respond you back saying, hey, this is a server, NFS server, and this is a mount location. Okay. And the label that I put here, NAS underscore volume hyphen 01, it can be anything. It is of your choice. Okay. Now the other 100 GB that I have, I'm going to say add volume. NAS is completely occupied. Then we have got SAN. So SAN is completely free, 0% used. SAN01 SAN LUN. I wanted to create all 97 GB, and here I have to choose the block or iSCSI. Say create. Now you created a block volume, and what you have to do is you have to add iSCSI LUN, say add, and you have to map that LUN, okay, to a target, the 100 GB LUN that you've created, the SAN LUN, add. So the network acknowledgement at this point of time, it says for this particular network, it says deny. You're allowing it. Say update. Right? This is what you do at a storage level, and all these steps are mentioned in your PDF document. Then when you come to here, guys, one thing that you need to remember is I told you there are two type of connections here. One is the virtual machine connection, the other is VM kernel connection. So the VM kernel connection is used for the storage access, vMotion, and a couple of other things. So today we are talking about configuring the storage to your ESX server. So this is a iSCSI storage. So iSCSI storage works on your Ethernet. So what I have to do here is I am creating a VM kernel interface, and I wanted to call it as iSCSI 01. Okay, and I'm not choosing any one of this. I'm not saying use it for vMotion, I'm not saying fault tolerance, and I'm not saying management. You know what happens when you say it to management, so that we can, with this particular IP, we can access this ESX using the vSphere client or PuTTY client, and we can access it. That is what we have seen in a part of the first class. But now what am I doing is I've created an iSCSI port here. I go to storage adapters, and I'm adding adapter here that is called add software iSCSI adapter. The moment I say okay, there will be one more adapter that get adds here. You see, software adapter. So this is like a piece of software. Yesterday I've shown you to set up the SAN, you need something called HBA, host bus adapter. Then only you can have the block level access, otherwise you will not have. So for the people who do not have, who cannot have the block, the HBA card, fiber channel switches, fiber channel cables, all that, there is a cost-effective storage solution called iSCSI. So iSCSI is also a remote storage technology, but it works on your TCP/IP network, right? Your switches, your TCP/IP network, but it delivers you a block level access. So to do that, it needs some kind of software emulation. This is a software emulation. So here we go here and we go to the network configuration, and we say, hey, use iSCSI interface for your iSCSI storage access. Okay, when let's say when there is a component and that can be used for multiple purposes, you need to mention for which purpose should I use it for. In the others, in other scenarios, here in other scenario in the networking, we have, if I go to this VM kernel interface, you see it is tick the management we said, so that it has got the clear instruction. Yes, it is for the management purpose. If I go to the other port, yes, this is also mentioned as management traffic. But if I don't do it, we will not be able to access the ESX server with that particular IP address. Similarly, on this port group, okay, I did not say tick mark here, use it for iSCSI. However, I said tick mark here, but here it is, I cannot allow, I mean, it is not allowed to do a tick mark here. There is other way. That is why we are going to storage adapters here, go to properties of your iSCSI emulator, and go to properties here, networking configuration, add, and you have added the network interface card that is actually we have created for the iSCSI access. From there you go to dynamic discovery. Before that, I wanted to show you here, if I go to storage here, you say add, you go to disk or LUN, and say next. You will not see any LUNs here, right? At this point of time there are no LUNs, but let me go to storage adapters here. I go to properties of iSCSI, I go to dynamic discovery, and static discovery there are no discoveries as such. Add, I have to just mention the iSCSI server IP address 192.168.1.50, right? 50 is the server that we are actually working on here, where we've created some LUNs. So I say okay. Now I go to static discovery, you see there is a target that it discovers. The end letters are 8E413. If I go to storage here, if you see the target name is 8E413. Okay, the last here 8E413. Here you see 8E413. Getting me? When I say close, it says you need to do a rescan because there was a change that was done. I say yes. Before I say yes, you see there are 0 targets, 0 devices and 0 paths. I say yes. You will see that turn to 111 because there was a LUN that we have created that is 90 GB. When I say storage, say add, and here you can see to create a VMFS data store, you have to choose this. To create an NFS data store, you have to choose this. Now we are creating the VMFS data store. Say next. Now you see there is a LUN that created with 95 GB. Say next. It is the blank hard disk that it says. Fine. You need to give a name. You say SAN LUN 01. So next, finish. Okay, now you see you've got the VMFS volume as well. But if you see the difference, when I select the VMFS data store, here you can see a lot of details. It'll tell you VMFS 5.61, that is a VMFS file system. But if you select the NFS, you will not get anything because it is a pre-configured file system that is at this level, at the storage system level. Whereas the VMFS data store is actually a VMFS file system, okay, that is created by the ESX server. Even the other data store, the local data store, it is also the same, right? It is also a VMFS data store because it is a raw disk space that was accessed, a raw disk space that was configured as a file system, right? So this is how you probably can create the NFS and the VMFS LUNs. So when you submit a NAS request, this is the information that you get. When you submit a SAN request, you will not get any request. They just say we have provisioned the LUNs. So to configure an NFS data store, you need to select the host, go to the configuration, select the storage, say add storage, and if it is an NFS data store that you wanted to configure, say network file system, next, and give the NFS server name or IP address, give the folder path that is similar to this, and just give any name that you feel like giving. That should be it. Whereas if you wanted to go for the VMFS data store, which is like accessing a block storage, that's when you go here. At this point of time, there are no LUNs available for the configuration. Okay, these are the two type of data stores that you can create and can make use of them, right? So this is how you can create a VMFS and the NFS data stores. I would encourage you all to go ahead and practice it, and if you guys have any doubts to ask, and the PDF that I'm going to share is fair enough to do this practical. However, you feel like you should ask a doubt, you don't hesitate to do it, so because if you complete this task, you have something important coming up. That's the virtual machine topic. Okay, so then
All up and running, or do we have to do it all from here to scratch? I mean, oh,
no, I'm not getting what you say.
yeah, my point is like, is it a place where we work? Maybe like, is it gonna be like already installed up and running, or do we have to install it like from here, like this from scratch, the disk storage and everything?
No, the place that you're gonna work will have altogether a different system. Okay, the open filer is for the users like us who cannot afford to buy the entire storage, put it in place. So just to play around, they just created some open source forum, have created and give it to us. But the place that we normally work is it will have a different storage altogether. So that piece, the configuration, installation is everything is taken care by the SAN team or the storage administrators. All we have to do is create a NFS data store, create a SAN data store or a VMFS data store. That's all.
Thank you.
So any other questions, guys? No? Okay. So would you be able to do the practicals by tomorrow, or you need a day or two? I want you to prepare with all topics. That includes your networking, your storage, so far.
For
Tomorrow,
me,
yes, sir.
Sorry?
can we have one day, because I just got my laptop today, I have to install everything today. Can you give us like tomorrow and the day after we can start? If it's possible. If it's not, that's fine with me too.
Fine.